Welcome back to The Second Coming. I am so happy to have you here today. We're here with Brother T. I'm your host, Jason Keaton. And Brother T, how you been?
Doing well. It's been a whole week since we've had a chance to be here and do our podcast. So I'm happy to be back, and it's been a great week and lots of love flowing around, a lot of good stuff going on.
Love. Yes.
Yeah.
So I had a big week this week also, and kind of highlighted by a funeral that I was just at for somebody that's fairly young, a vibrant young person in their 40s, and just taken away from everyone a little early. And that's been on my mind all week, really. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind diving into the subject of death of the human body and that whole experience. What I noticed from talking to people in the funeral is, there's so much guessing and unknownness and mystery about death itself. And I know you have some enlightening thoughts and words on this. So do you mind going into that, Brother T?
No, I'm glad to talk about that. And I just want to preface this by saying, to anyone that has experienced, the physical death, someone has experienced a physical death, that's not the time to try to be a teacher, when you're at the funeral home and things like that. Just loving people where they are. We have to meet people where they are. Before we begin, let's get Spirit to join us here, Jason, just a minute. Let's take a good deep breath. We say thank you, Mother, Father, God, for joining us. The host of angels are coming into the space now, the masters, the guides, and our loved ones. It feels good to be in their company. It feels good to be in your company too. So thank you for joining us today on our podcast. So, death is, it's just a difficult conversation. And I totally understand what you're saying, because a lot of people have so much misinformation, and there's a lot of misunderstanding, and it gets so confusing that people just don't even want to talk about it, and I understand it, because it's separation is painful. Beginnings are hard and endings are even harder, as Jesus says. So I want to start with the truth. The truth, if you will, is that you can't die. Nobody can die. And we come into this experience in most of us, or a part of us, if you will, never leaves beyond the veil. In other words, we're on the other side. We are existing in two dimensions. And I'm talking about our soul. I'm not talking about the personality self. And it's really kind of interesting, because most all of us are developing our relationships with our personality self of our friends and family, right? Jason, I know you as Jason, and I know you as that physical being as Jason. But the soul is what's reincarnating, and the soul is what never dies. The personality self is just a construct. It's a temporary construct. And so it really keeps getting reinvented and recreated. Every time we reincarnate, we kind of develop a new personality. It may have a lot of the ramifications of the old personality, and we might say that we pick up all of that energy in our Akashic record when we come through the cave of creation and return to another incarnation. But it's just the loss of that physical personality self that we've become accustomed to and in a relationship with somebody. And it feels like, that there's a loss. But the truth is, again, there is no death and there's no loss in God. And that we are here on purpose, okay, a divine purpose. And it's our soul that's reincarnating. And our soul is coming back here in the hopes of eventually, and it will eventually, enough lifetimes, if you will, but to mature enough so that the soul becomes what we're expressing as. And the personality self really just kind of is in the back seat, so to speak, in the ride, and the soul's in the driver's seat. But that is the higher level of consciousness. That's when what we're all working towards right now is to move to these higher, more mystic levels of consciousness. But another way to appreciate our brothers and sisters on their particular journey is that God has given us all free will. We all have free will, right? Plants, animals, everything that God has created has free will. And what is manifesting in form here in the 3D world, 3D dimension, everything here has free will. So I know it's tough for parents. I have a niece who recently had a stillbirth, and it was just devastating to their family because she went all the way to full term pregnancy, but then the baby was stillborn, and so it looks like something was wrong, and so they and there's been some conversation in the family, but that they felt bad, they felt like they didn't do something right, that they had something to do with it, and oftentimes, depending on what your understanding is of our journey and our relationship with God and our soul and its relationship, we may not realize that even though even a baby that's unborn is actually a soul it doesn't come into existence at the point of birth. It has free will. And so when parents, and I share this with people sometimes, Jason, that when parents are having a children, they may not realize that there's actually 3 entities that are in making a choice for that pregnancy to come to fruition and for that person to be born, the soul to be born, if you will, and a new ego, a new personality self begin to be developed when we incarnate here. So every part along the journey, all of us as individuations of God are making our own decisions, and our soul is making those decisions. And the personality self is most often, at least in the lower levels of consciousness, not even aware that the soul is doing that. Sometimes we go through hard times and we have we're frustrated because we don't know why we're going through these hard times, but our soul is engineering some of this and designing some of these experiences because it has an agenda to learn certain things, and it learns things through our experiences here in 3D form. So when somebody gets, decides, their soul decides to end their incarnation here, it can be at any age, but we look at younger people, especially children, and say, oh, they didn't have a chance to live, and they cut their life short. No, they didn't cut anything short. The soul made a conscious choice that unless the body got damaged in some way that it can't be, the soul can't keep it activated. The soul is making a conscious choice to come and go into this dimension. Also, a lot of times, people, I should say souls, God's children, come into this incarnation for a specific person to help other people to have an experience that's helping them along their journey. In other words, we're working together. We're all helping each other to wake up in this experience. And so when someone's in their 40s, especially, usually their parents often are still alive, and it's really hard for us to imagine losing children. My mother lost one of her third child when he was only 3 years old or so, and she never really got over it, right? And she lived into her 90s. And every year at the same time when he had passed away, she would kind of go through a phase of a little bit of depression and sadness, and it was difficult for her whole life. So the more we learn, and I just want to share this, and it's not a condemnation at all, it's an opportunity, but the more we learn about our experience here in form, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what's going on between the host of angels and guides and teachers and family that are non-physical, that are supporting our journey here, we began to see that we really don't die. We're just transitioning from one dimensional experience to another. Now, we all do it every day. Every night, this experience literally ends, and we go to sleep, and we are in another dimension. and we're still living our life. We don't experience that as death. And then in the mornings when we wake up, that experience ends. We could say my sleeping self died every morning because I woke up and it's no longer conscious. It's not me. It was a part of me. And so a part of me is no longer being activated or no longer being given awareness and expression because I've made that conscious choice to wake up from that dimension. And when we transition from this physical form, the third dimensional world, that's also a choice, again, of the soul. And it is not a death, it's a transition. And so we can look at it in a different way. And the way I like to look at it personally is that everyone's here for a lesson. And then when they've gained that lesson, if all went well for them, then they're going to go for a review of what they did. And then they're going to get ready to come to the next level by coming back to this experience and working towards mystic consciousness and an awakening in form, eventually so that the soul can be who we express as here in form. It doesn't make it comfortable. It doesn't make it easy. This is not an easy journey. Everybody thinks, well, at some point I'll win the game and I'll have a very comfortable, easy life because, well, I'm going to be spiritual now. That's going to make my life better. It can sometimes make your life more difficult because there's more to learn, and we are going to continue to learn until we do wake up. And when we do wake up, then we become the agent of change in this world, eventually helping each other to create heaven on earth right here in form. And the choice then to lay the body down is a choice that we will not see as sadness, but we will celebrate for our brothers and sisters that they have come, they have grown, and they have graduated. It is really a time of celebration. And on the other side of the veil, it's a huge celebration. And hundreds of us are doing that every second of every day and being welcomed home on the other side of the veil.
Absolutely. So beautiful, so beautifully said, and hopefully provides comfort to those that are grieving and experiencing loss, because grief is a gift from God that we have this opportunity to have loved, and that's why we feel the loss. So, just a couple follow-up questions. It sparked my interest when you said we go for a review. Do you mind expanding on the review of our human ego life? Is that the review, or the review of the soul's learning or the experience? Could you expand a little bit on the review part?
I will. It sounds a little strange what I'll tell you now, but the ego doesn't really learn anything. It can't learn. It's really not, it's just a pretender, or it's artificial intelligence. It's not really who you are. So it's always the soul that is growing and maturing, right? And when God is being expressed in form, that is called Christ. God in form is Christ. And that would be the soul maturing and eventually putting the ego in the back seat, so to speak, the personality self. And so then the soul becomes what we're expressing as. I remember getting a report card frequently when I was going to school. I'm thinking way back, first grade, second grade, third grade. We had these quarterly or, semester report cards. I remember when I went to college, we had, here's a semester, and we got grades. And I would sit down sometimes with a teacher, and we do this with jobs, right? We have a performance review, and our boss might sit down with us and kind of tell us, okay, here's what's going on. This is what's really working, and here's where you need a little improvement, right? And now I will say, if reviews are done well and done with love and compassion, which they always are with spirit, right? There's no judgment at all in spirit. What we're just given an opportunity is to look at where we were achieving what we intended to achieve in an incarnation. That's all. And so we have that little performance review, if you want to call it that, life review. And as you're maturing more and more now, many of us are having an opportunity as we begin to become fully expressed as the soul in form here, in form, you can have that life review in form, which is really amazing. And so everything that we've done, everything that we have experienced, and all the people and relationships that we've had can be reviewed. And so we can see how they saw how we reacted or responded or acted out in form. So we can see who we have an impact on, good or bad. We can see what we have done to grow ourselves, and we can see where we had a goal when we came in to advance in this area or that area, and we can see that we weren't quite able to achieve what we wanted. But it's a celebration. It's not oh, you bad person. There is no judgment in spirit. There's only judgment in the ego mind, the ego construct, the human operating system, and it's not who we are. It's an artificial intelligence. So as we let go of that self and begin to surrender that self and allow our souls to become who we are, it's actually possible to have a review of that life in the form, because once the soul takes over, it's a new day, right? Lots of things happen. The body begins to realign with that vibrational healing energy, like Jesus was able to heal people, right? Physically. Even Lazarus in the Bible, was, reactivated. So miraculous, unbelievable things can happen when we let the soul, be in the driver's seat. And that's really what we're working towards. Or I'll say that's what I'm working towards, Jason, in my study, in my practice, in my meditation, in my connection with spirit. Every day, I feel that there's some two steps forward and one step back kind of thing, but there definitely is progress every day in my personal journey. And I'm seeing and experiencing people communicating with me personally. There are many, many more of us that are also experiencing these different levels of growth, spiritual growth of the soul, and letting the soul come through and learning how to allow the soul to come through. It's a process, and it takes some time because we're learning. We're learning. So the review is nothing more than a celebration, a continuation of the celebration of transition. That we have accomplished what we came to accomplish, and we get a chance to look at that, and we get a chance to see how many people we've impacted with our love, or by withholding love if we'd let the ego run the game and let it stay in charge. We have a choice, and we're making that choice in every moment.
Thank you so much, Brother T. That was enlightening and beautifully put. I want to have the opportunity to thank you for all your hard work that you do every week and in between. And I know there's people out there that want to support us and have us continue our work. How can people reach out to you if they want to reach out to you, and how can they support True Thought and the Second Coming?
Well, you can support True Thought literally by going to love.truethought.org and just make a contribution, right? We are not a 501c3, so we're not able to give people a tax advantage, and that's why we moved to Substack, because Substack is a platform where we can have conversations and engage with people behind a wall, so to speak, and it's $7 a month. And a few people have subscribed to that, and I'm thrilled when that happens, honestly. If we could get 100 people a month to do that, well, that's an extra $700 a month for True Thought, and that helps to pay the bill, pay for the lights, pay for the cameras, pay for the work that we're doing. We're not, no one of us at this moment in time is with taking money out of True Thought. We're trying to build up a reserve there so that we can do some more things. We want to eventually, hopefully, build a retreat center here somewhere in the United States. We're looking at a few places where we might buy some land and begin the process of building a place where people can come and retreat and learn and get accelerated advancement of spiritual training and learning by being in person with us. So there's no replacement for being in person. This is a great medium, but being in person with each other is irreplaceable, and we need that connection, and we need those relationships. So love.truethought.org, or just register and become a paid patron of Substack, and that is truemind.space or truethought.org. Either one of those websites will take you to the same place, which is our Substack website. And there, all of the emails that we're sending out are archived. All of our podcasts are archived, and all the stuff that we're creating, all of our creation, all of our content, creative content, is going to be there. I'm not putting shorts on there. So the only other place that we're holding content now is on our YouTube page. And you can go to ttsc.tv to find our YouTube page. And I am putting some shorts on there now from the podcast and some of the long form content that we're creating. So that's basically it. 2 ways to support us. But every time you hit the like button, every time you share our space, one of our websites or YouTube or our Substack page, you are helping us, because you're helping. We're not here to make, we're not really trying to make money. It's helpful if we have money and we have money coming in, but this work we're doing this work for free because we work for God. And we know that our needs are going to be met by doing that. And that is in fact the case. But most of the people that are listening to what we're doing, Jason, are veterans. They've been on this spiritual path for some time. And so they understand our language and they understand how this works. And if you keep the main thing, that is to be only love, all else was given unto you by Spirit. All else will be aligned for you. Your health, peace, joy, and abundance are all of the aspects that we enjoy when we become aligned with Spirit.
Absolutely. The gifts are unlimited. God provides in unlimited ways. And thank you for your service, Tony. Thank you for your love that you share with all of us. And I am so excited to have had the opportunity to spend this time with all of you today. I'm excited to have seen Brother T again today. And until next week, Brother T, have anything else to say before we cut out?
Just that you are dearly loved, each and every one. If you're listening to this, you are dearly loved. Spirit's loving you. Know that you are loved and you are held gently in the hands of Spirit, the invisible hand of love of God. And your soul is very happy that you're participating in the conversation with us. I know that to be true. That's it, Jay.
Thank you all for joining us on our journey. All the love. See you next week.
All the love. All right. On the second coming.
On the second coming.
All right. Bye-bye.